First came here at around this time last year was to document the rich stories of the river, to communicate in some way a sense that this place is made from these stories. I would draw on familiar qualitative research methods such as interview and ethnography. But as the week of the lab drew on, my experience of the collaboration deepened my interest in the practices involved in this project. Exposure to the practices of others and to the collaborative process itself made me much more conscious of and then led me to examine and question my own practice. I came to focus much more on how we, the participants, did our work as I did on the ideas that I sought to explore and communicate. And a colleague of mine, Hayden Lorimer, and an artist colleague of ours, Kate Foster, suggests that collaboration can challenge some of our assumptions and habits, and that learning about others' protocols and techniques and skills can show up aptitudes that we take for granted. So through exposure to vastly different practices and epistemologies, so forms of knowledge, the collaboration revealed work practices and stimulated new practices and modes of investigation. Central to this collaboration was bodily and sensory practice. I was struck by the extent to which my artist colleagues used the body and the senses to explore, learn and create. As a group, we learnt through varied interactions with the site, through gathering, digging, walking, rowing, lugging of hay bales, listening. We engaged bodily with dirt, with documents, with water, homestead, echoes, cattle, people, weather, as we are today, stories, cameras, projectors. Our bodies became instruments of research, engaging with a more than human world of the site. And through the project, I learnt that creative collaboration opens possibilities for using the body as a research instrument and for productive research process and output. The third observation that I want to very briefly touch on is that the collaboration itself and this kind of challenging of our practices, of the way that we actually work, opens new questions. And I'll just read the final short section that reflects on this idea. The process of challenging practice and opening new forms of investigation leads to new questions. To my distress, I heard repeated at the forum last year the oft-quoted idea that art-science collaboration is important because artists can communicate complex science to the public in different ways. Now, there's no doubt some truth to this idea, and it may be the aim of some collaborations. However, through this collaboration, I came to learn that the significance of art-science collaboration or broader interdisciplinary collaborations is far greater, and the strength lies much, much earlier than communicating research findings. Art-science collaboration works, I think, to pose new questions, not simply to answer or communicate about preconceived ones. It opens new ways of seeing and thinking about what is relevant and what is important. It invites us all, participants and audience, to step back and think, what is interesting here? In doing so, it does communicate, but not about research findings. Rather, through vastly different practice and knowledge, arts and science practitioners together are capable of framing complex questions and learning new things. Thanks very much.
So there are sort of three arguments which I think are all interrelated. The first one being about politics, really, and this idea of belonging, and a kind of belonging that is based on a passing through, which is, I think, a really great insight, not only about this place, but about Australia generally and our relationship between permanence and transitory aspects of human involvement with this land, migrant and Indigenous. And the second argument was to do really with methodologies, which I also found really wonderful. It was the part that struck me most, I guess, as an artist, to have those kind of bodily engagements with the site just spelt out, all those beautiful verbs that you went through, the lugging and the documents and so on, and the nouns as well, the sort of, you know, the echoes and the dirt. I was very involved with the dirt. And the third argument really about the nature of what this art-science collaboration is about. And I think that was also wonderful, not to have to anchor it down in solutions, but in rather the questions. And the primary one being about what is interesting here, which I think all of us who come to Bundanon as artists and as scientists, as we've learnt through Siteworks, that is often our first question. And it's a really wonderful one, I think, you know, to not sort of place your ego up there, you know, at the front, but to say, you know, what is this place saying to me? What is interesting here?